had been sent to Egypt because the cowardly Directoire government feared him being too powerful and influent. When he came back to Paris, many politicians such as Talleyrand seized the opportunity to come visit him. Fouché was only received in the evening after pretty much everyone had asked Napoleon to be in their cool zone conspiracy, so Fouché was declined. Fouché wanted to do some trolling, so he claimed at the Directoire that he didn't know about any conspiracy and anyways they would be executed. So pretty much with this badass threat, the real conspirators would be forced to invite him in their cool zone, and anyway, if they fail, Fouché still has the trust of the government, so big win-win. On the 18th of Brumaire 1799, the coup takes place. Fouché is entirely part of it. He sealed off Paris. If the coup fails at Saint-Cloud, he can retake control and get the glory. If it succeeds, he keeps his job and enjoys decades of kleptocracy. The coup works and another betrayal happens. Barras got cucked by Fouché and Napoleon. He cannot be part of their cool zone anymore.
Sie nennen sich Generale, weil sie Jahre auf Militärakademien zugebracht haben.
And also Josephine used to be his girlfriend, so he's double cucked. Fouché's position was quickly fragilized. The Bonaparte clan despised him and wanted him to be removed. But Fouché's luck saved him. On Christmas 1800, an assassination attempt against the consul failed. Napoleon was furious that Fouché hadn't prevented it.
Die Jakobiner waren es!
Geben Sie mir 14 Tage Zeit.
Das kostet Sie den Kopf.
Wie ich mir erlaubte, Ihnen bereits vor 14 Tagen zu sagen, meine Theorie hat sich als zutreffend erwiesen. Die Täter waren Royalisten, bezahlt von englischem Geld.
His skills were so impressive that the Bonaparte clan wanted to dispose of him even more. Fouché even opposed Napoleon's idea of becoming emperor, which put too much pressure on him. Napoleon had to remove him, but he couldn't just fire him. He made him senator, deleted the Ministry of Police, and gave him half the ministry budget, hoping wealth would just make him retire. For 2 years, he keeps in touch with the stock and housing market, collects a vast fortune. Now he can make sure his 3 kids survive, contrary to the 2 first ones, but overall his lifestyle doesn't drastically change. He gets bored and just starts sending Napoleon some weekly secret information as a "please get me back, daddy." Napoleon doesn't need him because he already has Talleyrand to advise him, but Fouché's luck will strike again. Talleyrand fucked up real hard by ordering the assassination of Duke d'Enghien. That was Talleyrand's worst political mistake. Napoleon had to bring back Fouché, and he saw a kind of duality between him and Talleyrand, keeping them both in constant competition and suppressing their ambitions. Fouché despised Napoleon's monarchic roleplay with all the stupid dress codes and manners. The egomaniac emperor had become a little bitch who couldn't take a simple piece of criticism, so Fouché decided to troll him by filling his reports with, "Oh, there are rumors that your family stole money. Oh, some individual claims that your wars are stupid," and so on, to implicitly roast and criticize him. He also spies on Napoleon, knows everything he does, and collects sensitive information about him. Napoleon had to create the police spéciale just to spy on Fouché and understand his plans, but the guy didn't give a fuck. He had spies as Napoleon's spies and could easily falsify any information. Now let's get back to his crippled colleague, Talleyrand, his nemesis. He comes from a rich family. He's a diplomat, charismatic, eloquent, popular, a man who speaks rather than works, and he spends a lot of money and embraces luxury. Fouché is a man of work, a capitalist who earns money to earn more, and he has zero charisma. Only his hard work, his intelligence, and the fear he imposes let him stay in power. There is no way they unite, right? Napoleon's stupidity. Despite being a military genius, he was a short-minded moron who only wanted to start a war as soon as he ended one. So in 1808, Talleyrand publicly invited Fouché at his apartment just to have a friendly talk about Napoleon's foolish ambitions. The emperor, totally furious and fearing a conspiracy, rushed from Spain to Paris in just 5 days. And this happened.
Sie sind Talleyrand, ein Dieb, ein Einbrüchiger, ein Mann, der seinen eigenen Vater für Geld verschachern würde. Sie sind nicht als ein Haufen Scheiße in einen Seidenstrumpf gewickelt. Gehen Sie! Hinaus! Will Sie nicht mehr sehen und dieser andere Halunke, dieser Fouché soll kommen!
Wie schade, dass ein so großer Mann so schlechte Manieren hat. Viel Glück.
Warum haben Sie sich mit Talleyrand getroffen?
Talleyrand got kicked, Fouché stayed in power, eventually also handling the Ministry of Interior, and his usual luck shined again. In 1909, the emperor was abroad, so the Brits launched an expedition in Holland. While all ministers were brainless, Fouché was the only one who risked giving order to raise troops and repel the invasion, and it ended up being a French victory. Napoleon barred out all his useless servants and praised Fouché for being the only one who did his job. Not even the Minister of War had done a thing. Fouché had lots of fun imposing himself as the big boss and playing with his powers. He kept raising troops a few more times, claiming there could be an imminent British invasion or some Italian uprising and so on. Napoleon made him calm down and eventually gave him a nobility title, Duke of Otranto. Can you guess where Otranto is located? And it was in that random place. This was a little trolling from Napoleon, who really hated Fouché. Even the coat of arms was a snake around a golden column symbolizing Fouché. The following year, 1810, all of France really started being fed up with perpetual useless wars. Fouché had gone international, corresponding with plenty of European diplomats indirectly, using a banker named Ouvrard to travel to Holland and reach out to the perfidious Albion. Napoleon was furious upon learning such trickery. He convoked his ministers plus Talleyrand to discuss a punishment and a replacement.
Wen können Sie mir als neuen Polizeiminister vorschlagen?
Wenn ich Herrn Fouché einen Nachfolger geben sollte, so wüsste ich nur einen.
Und wen?
Fouché selbst.
Napoleon eventually chose Gendarmerie d'Elite General Savary to replace Fouché. Our fella got fucking pissed, so he decided to troll him. He received Savary in his office, was all nice, and asked him for one more day to be replaced so that he could properly classify and put order in the police documents. He took that one day off to completely destroy the most relevant documents, steal the most important ones, and mix up all the remaining ones to make it impossible to handle the ministry, and thus reclaiming his job in a few months. Sadly for him, Savary bitched about it and Napoleon banned Fouché. Fouché's wife eventually handed back some stolen documents, and Fouché got back to his boring castle.
One eternity later.
Napoleon, that egomaniac, convoked him and all his ministers one more time to hear a yes, but everyone said no, even the jobless Fouché. And the question was, invading Russia. As his Hannibal Barca from Wish roleplay was turning into a disaster, Napoleon decided to remove his potential traitors from Paris. So Fouché was simply assigned to handling some random European territories. Oh no, Napoleon was losing, who would have thought? Fouché rushed back to France and headed to Paris as fast as he could to suck up on the new monarch on time. Sadly for him, he arrived 4 days too late and the new government was already full, and his nemesis, Talleyrand, already had his job. Oh, and his wife died. Yay! Despite his many letters and suck-ups, the new regime just refused him into their cool zone. But then Fouché's luck shined again. The Emperor of Elba landed in France. At first, nobody cared, but eventually Napoleon activated his Giga Chad mode. The French king was like, what the fuck, someone do something, and desperately called Fouché for his ministry role. But our fella knew how fucked King Ludwig XVIII was, so he politely declined. King Ludwig could not let Napoleon get his hands on Fouché, so he ordered his arrest. On the 16th of March 1815, tons of policemen ambushed Fouché's coach in broad daylight. Fouché activated his Sigma mode and said the following:
You don't arrest a former minister, a former senator, on the middle of a street.
And then simply did a go fast, leaving the cops clueless. The police got furious and encircled Fouché's house to finally arrest him. What happened was priceless.
Herzog von Otranto, Sie sind verhaftet. Hier ist der Haftbefehl.
Ich komme soeben vom Bude des Königs. Schicken Sie einen Boten zum Grafen Artois und lassen Sie sich das bestätigen.
Exzellenz, ich habe keinen Boten.
Dann alarmieren Sie die Nationalgarde. 50 Meter von hier ist ein Posten! Erstens ist dieser Verhaftsbefehl falsch ausgestellt. Als ehemaliger Polizeiminister muss ich das ja wissen. Zweitens ist das Ganze eine schlechte Fälschung. Wo haben Sie den Wisch her?
Aber Exzellenz, ich habe den Haftbefehl selbst im Präsidium abgeholt.
Schon gut. Bis die Nationalgarde kommt, muss ich mich ein wenig frisch machen.
Wo ist der Haftbefehl gegen den Herzog von Otranto?
Hier. Ach, der Herzog hat ihn dort.
Exzellenz, darf ich...
Hinterher!
He then used a fucking ladder to escape through Hortense de Bois in his garden. This crazy stunt was just enough to gain a few hours just before the government had to cowardly flee. Napoleon was back, and Fouché was once more Napoleon's police minister. Napoleon was at his weakest. The parliament now had a Republican majority, most of his staff was gone, and Fouché started once again corresponding with diplomats all over Europe, guaranteeing peace and actually not trusting a long-term Napoleon reign. Napoleon caught a spy from Fouché and learned there would be an important diplomatic meeting with a Metternich correspondent in a Basel hotel.
Sie fahren nach Basel. Sie geben sich als Abgesandter dieses feinen Herzogs von Otranto aus. Das ist Verrat. Hochverrat. Sind Sie sicher, dass Fouché nichts von dieser Verhaftung und von diesem Geständnis weiß?
Absolut sicher, Majestät.
Napoleon tried to trick Fouché. He convoked him, asked him for any way to contact Austria, but Fouché never mentioned those secret negotiations. But Fouché's spies informed him about the arrest, so he outsmarted Napoleon.
Da ist eine Depesche angekommen.
Wann haben Sie den Brief bekommen?
Vorgestern.
Warum haben Sie mir nicht sofort davon berichtet?
Ich hielt das Ganze für eine Mystifikation. Und da hat er vergessen, mir das Pulver zu übergeben, mit dem ich die Geheimtinte hätte lesbar machen können.
Sie sind ein Verräter! Ich sollte Sie hängen lassen!
Ich bin nicht Ihrer Meinung, Sire.
Napoleon had become quite crazy at that time, and during a minister council, he did this.
Tenez. Plongez-moi ça dans le cœur, ça sera plus loyal que d'agir comme vous le faites.
Les femmes adorent faire du cheval.
At this rate, Fouché knows one of them has to be gone. He can only hope for a major military defeat to initiate a power shift, and thanks to all his secret correspondings, he would get a future government role. Immediately upon learning of the Waterloo debacle, Fouché texted Wellington with a GG well play and started turning all ministers and the parliament against Napoleon, claiming he would come back as a dictator and purge everyone. This is exactly what happened. Napoleon came back asking for all the powers and raising more troops for more wars. Fouché brought back a forgotten legend, Lafayette. Lafayette held aggressive Republican speeches at the Parliament against Napoleon, rallying everyone, and the Parliament sent Napoleon a resignation ultimatum, which he had no choice but to accept. Napoleon handed his abdication to Fouché, who proudly displayed it at the Parliament and proposed to create a new government, a directory with 5 members elected by the Parliament. Fouché was finally rid of that moronic dictator, but his election into the government only depended on some votes. Like a Sigma, he got elected with 293 votes, while Lafayette, the guy who pretty much led the anti-Napoleon movement, was completely thrown under the rug, exactly as he was during the French Revolution. What a cock! Fouché had his place in the government! But that would have been too boring. See, despite having 293 votes, Carnot on the other hand had 324, which made him the big boss of the Directoire. So Fouché came up with the most brave yet stupid plan to take his place. He did the following. Hey colleagues, let's constitute! What do you mean, constitute? Oh, I mean we should elect our president and our secretary. Look, I'm giving you my vote. Oh, thanks, then I give you my vote. That's it. He was finally leader of a nation. No more master, no more boundaries for him. His only threat was time, as the 7th coalition was approaching Paris. Fouché made sure to delete all newspapers mentioning Napoleon, blackmailed Napoleon, and ensured he wouldn't desperately raise an army. He knew he couldn't keep his presidency for long, so it was crucial to secure a place in the upcoming royal government. Fouché played a special card. During Napoleon's return, the Baron of Vitrolles had tried to create an insurrection but was captured and meant to die. But Fouché saved his life, as he could always be useful. He freed and invited the royalist Baron to joke and talk politics, and he pretended Carnot and many deputies supported the power of Napoleon II, which made absolutely no fucking sense, because Carnot was a hardcore Republican and Napoleon II was fucking 4 years old at the time. Thanks to the Baron, Talleyrand, Wellington and Fouché got to secretly meet with King Ludwig XVIII, and he swore his allegiance for the 8th time. In exchange for a simple ministry post, he sold entire fucking France and got back to Paris like nothing happened.
The next day.
Oh no, the British entered Paris! Hey guys, let's protest by abandoning our political functions!
Yeah, vive la démocratie!
Bonjour, who's in charge here? I guess it's me.
Traitor, where you want me to go?
Imbecile, wherever you want. Once again, as police minister, the king quickly tasked Fouché with creating a list of people to purge. Fouché found the idea stupid, so he created a list of hundreds, perhaps 1,000 heads, so it would be too stupid to kill them all. Sadly for him, Talleyrand was the one supervising him, and he got to remove the names until only a few dozen were left, and Fouché had to sign the document, ultimately adding his name to the list of traitors. Fouché was too old and more of an inconvenience to the monarchy. Upon seeing him, every noble was like, what the fuck? The guy literally killed the king's brother. What the fuck is he doing here? Eventually, Talleyrand politely invited him to resign just a few days before he was finally banned from France. He would settle in Austria, where he miserably failed to integrate. He was in the corner at parties, spent his remaining days writing his cocky memoirs, and died in a random village. Thanks for watching. I didn't have many sources to cover the topic, unlike some creeps, so make sure you comment additional information. It took me a while to make this video, so please use pepper straws and don't be a Carnot.